There are some days when nothing seems to go right. Len Imbrogno, the driver of the Centurion funny car, slams into the guardrail at a qualifying run at the Gatornationals. The car minus the right front wheel slides to a stop. The fiberglass still burning on the front of the vehicle. Imbrogno encased inside that smoking funny car. The NHRA Safety Safari crew and firefighting equipment arriving right on the scene. Crew member checking on the condition of Imbrogno. Both cars left the starting line together. Kosti Ivanov into a gigantic wheel stand. Then Imbrogno into the guardrail. The force of the impact ripping the right front wheel and axle assembly off the car. The fuel tank splitting, catching on fire. Imbrogno totally out of control. He can't steer that car, that $40,000 funny car that's now basically a piece of junk. Imbrogno coming to a sliding stop at the start of the speed trap, just 66 feet short of the finish line at Gainesville Raceway. The remains of the chassis suspended from the wrecker as it's taken from the racetrack. You see dramatic proof of the force of the impact as the right front wheel and axle assembly ripped from the car, but the roll cage in excellent condition. A lot of luck for Len Imbrogno so he can talk to Steve Evans.
Well, Dave, as what's left of the Centurion funny car is being pulled off the track, this is Len Imbrogno. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right.
That's
fine.
about as hard as I've seen a funny car hit the rail in a long time.
Really? The car went into a tire shake, which is normal for funny cars, and generally when you shift the car into high gear, the tire shake will stop. But apparently this one had its front wheels off the ground, and as I shifted it, that's all I can remember. But it was veering, I guess. It got out of its tracks, and as soon as it got out of its track a little bit, it went right into the guardrail just as I shifted it. So,
and once you hit the rail, you had no steering. How close did you come to Kosti Ivanov?
I didn't even see Kosti. I tried to keep it, everything to this side as much as possible. I don't remember seeing Kosti at all.
Okay, well, our condolences on the loss of a fine race car, but you're okay, and that's what really counts.
Thank you, Steve.
What does 31-year-old Len Imbrogno and his partner Ken Thornburg do? Well, of course, they build another funny car. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland. Along with Steve Evans, we're bringing you the 1980 Gatornationals from Gainesville, Florida. Qualifying is completed. The fields are set for today's final eliminations. We'll be back with more Gatornationals excitement in just a moment. We're just about ready for the next round of Top Fuel Eliminator at the Gatornationals. And NHRA officials, President Wally Parks and competition director Steve Gibbs, look on from monitor control section of the timing facility here at Gainesville Raceway. Top Fuel Eliminator, some of the most exotic race cars in all of the world. Let's find out more about them.
22 feet of tubing, a 2,000 horsepower, supercharged nitro-burning engine behind the driver, all wrapped in a hand-formed aluminum skin with a parachute brake to stop it. That's the modern-day Top Fuel dragster that has evolved over the last 2 decades from what we once called the hot rod. The controls, very simple. A clutch pedal, a throttle, a hand brake, a shifter, parachute release, and fuel shut-off. That's all he needs at 5 seconds, 250 miles an hour, the fastest accelerating vehicle in the world.
Steve, the fastest accelerating vehicle in qualifying was this car. The Top Fuel dragster owned by Larry Miner and driven by 2-time national champion Gary Beck. The start of a new team in the 1980 season as Beck taking over the driving chores for this vehicle in the first round of competition came up against Dick LaHaye. The California-based team of Miner and Beck against LaHaye, who hails from Lansing, Michigan. The track had been repaved during the winter with a concrete starting line pad installed. Was a very tricky racing surface throughout all of qualifying. Both cars into the staging beams, and it is Beck with a good lead and extending that lead throughout the first round win. It is Gary Beck with a 5.71 second elapsed time. That is the quickest elapsed time recorded since 1975 in all of drag racing. Watch how he pulls away from Dick LaHaye right at the very start. LaHaye, running a very respectable 6.04 second elapsed time, is still a train length behind Gary Beck's record-shattering 5.71 second elapsed time.
Dave, Gary Beck certainly served notice. He's the man to beat, qualifying low at a 5.81, but as he gets his helmet off, I want to be the first to tell him that he just ran the quickest time in probably 3 or 4 years, a 5.71, GB.
And that's great, Steve, isn't it? It's unbelievable. The car's an ET car, I'll tell you. We've been working on it, Jim Wright and Larry Miner, and it's just steady and runs sweet as a pie.
And clean and dry, apparently no oil, no parts hurt.
And that's something. You all right? All right.
Gary Beck's not only excited, he's talking to his motor, David.
Steve, let's hope that the motor doesn't talk back to Gary. Here's the crew, Jim Wright, the crew chief, and of course the car owner, Larry Miner, overjoyed with that 5.71 second elapsed time, the 5th quickest time in the history of the drag racing sport. As Gary goes into round number 2, here's who he'll race. Bob Noyce drives for Jim Brissett. Another of the top fuel racers, a favorite of all the Floridians, Big Daddy Don Garland. From Compton, California, on his first full year on the national event circuit, John Kimball. The number 2 qualifier, Jeb Allen, he came in with a 5.87 second elapsed time. Frank Bradley from Napa, California, former Winter Nationals champ. Richard Tharp out of Dallas, Texas, regarded as one of the top drivers in the sport. And Shirley Muldowney, former world champion, qualified very well at this Gator Nationals. The crowd standing on their feet as we get ready to go into round number 2 of top fuel eliminations. Record-shattering crowd, all eyes on the starting line as 2,000 horsepower apiece coming out of the water area. It's John Kimball against Don Garland. Taking a look at a burnout, this is John Kimball, and you see the tires growing in height as the centrifugal force throwing the rubber higher and higher, almost to the point that they would be as he crosses the finish line. The burnout, of course, designed to heat those broad rubber slicks, provide the utmost in traction. Big Daddy Don Garlitz debuted this car at the Winter Nationals. He failed to qualify, worked hard on it for 2 weeks, and got the car into a very competitive posture. So competitive, he was the number 4 qualifier here at the Gator Nationals. He's from Sefner, Florida, just a suburb of Tampa, a few short miles away from Gainesville, and is definitely the crowd favorite in top fuel racing. An electronic starting device known as a Christmas tree is used to send these landlocked missiles on their way. And this is the view of the Christmas tree as seen by John Kimball. He is in the lane nearest the camera. You see both cars are approaching the lanes, the lights at the top of the tree. When all 4 lights are lit, that means it's time for Starter Buster Couch to throw the switch. The green light comes on if they leave at the proper moment. And side by side, they streak down the quarter mile. It's Big Daddy Don Garlitz there first, 6.02 seconds. His speed, 235 miles an hour. John Kimball close behind at 6.08 seconds. His speed, 240, but not enough to catch Big Daddy. Richard Tharp at the wheel of the dark blue dragster owned by Candies and Hughes. Tharp, a professional race driver from Dallas, Texas, is a former national champion and a former world champion. He's racing against one of his strongest competitors, Shirley, the bright pink dragster that carried Shirley Muldowney to the winner's circle of the recent Winter Nationals just a couple of months ago out of Pomona, California. Now bearing the single name Shirley on the side of the car, but no one mistakes it. They know who it is, Shirley Muldowney, the former world champion. Her burnout's completed. She's approaching the starting line. The electronic Christmas tree is controlled at the starting line by these 3 light beams. You see Shirley creeping into the pre-stage light. That means they're only a few inches away from the actual start of the quarter mile. Now Richard Tharp is staged. That means he's ready. Shirley Muldowney comes forward. She's ready. They leave the starting line together. And something goes wrong with Shirley Muldowney's car, and something comes off Richard Tharp's car. And Tharp wins it, 6.19 seconds. His speed, 238 miles an hour. And that finish line just 1,320 feet away from the starting line, very slowly. Crossing it is Shirley Muldowney. Right there you see the motor or something going away in Shirley's car, while bouncing on the track is some part or piece off of the Candies and Hughes dragster. A tough break for Shirley Muldowney. She's standing down on the return road looking at the car, trying to figure out what may have broken. But for Richard Tharp, what a break.
Right next to the battery box.
Richard Tharp, some days you run 580s and can't buy a victory. Today just seems to be your day. Luck running with you.
Well, you're right. I'm glad it's my day. I need all the luck I can get. I don't know what happened to Shirley. It was close, and then she just went away. I don't know. She must have broke something or something.
Violent tire shake, and I notice here that your coil wire has shaken completely off. So there was really no ignition on the car half the racetrack.
Well, we're just in a violent shake. I don't know what's wrong. We've always had a little tire shake problem, but it's ridiculous today. I mean, it's shaking the car completely apart. I don't know.
Well, if you get it solved, you're going to be a threat for sure. Richard Tharp for Candies and Hughes.
Steve, that was coil that shook off the car just a few hundred feet off the starting line. The motor detonating itself to a 6.19 second elapsed time. Our next pair of cars ready, and something breaks on Bob Noyce's car. You see the water pouring out of the cylinder head in the right-hand side. It's just pumping water out underneath the vehicle. Obviously, he can't run in that kind of condition. The crew from the starting line running down track to get next to Bob Noyce's car, making sure he's not in any danger, while his competitor Gary Beck backs up after his burnout. The emergency crew and starting line crew working to get the car of Bob Noyce out of gear, and will be pushing him back into the pit area. Here, let's watch again and see if we can tell what happened. Coming out of the water, everything's fine. Then all of a sudden, something breaks in the water line as the car comes to a halt with water pouring out of it, and you see also missing the supercharger drive belt. So a tough break for Bob Noyce right at the starting line. But for Gary Beck, driving for Larry Minor, what a break this is. A single run. All he has to do is complete the quarter-mile pass. He cannot lose the race unless he crosses the center line or hits the guardrail on the outer extremity of the racetrack. But all eyes are on the starting line to see if Gary Beck will make a hard run down the quarter mile. And he does not. The car goes into some violent tire shake. He decides, rather than going for low elapsed time, which could give him lane choice in the next round, he just coasts through rather than braking or taking the chance of breaking some parts or pieces. Steve is caught up with Bob Noyce in the pits.
Dave, they always talk about the inexpensive part in motor racing that costs a valuable victory. In the case of Bob Noyce, here it is, a broken supercharger belt that goes right around the pulleys here. Once this came off, what happened, Bob?
No horsepower. The motor just sits there and idles, and you can't do anything.
But there was something on the racetrack, some fluid.
It broke a water line on our oil water pump here, and we just water leaked out, that's all.
Well, if we're going to have anything on the track, let's hope it's water throughout this event.
Beats oil.
The final pair of cars getting ready for their run down this quarter mile in the second round of racing. A total of 16 top fuel dragsters started off the first round. Jeb Allen against Frank Bradley. Both cars burnouts completed, approaching the starting line, and they leave the line together. A great lead for Jeb Allen as he starts to power away from Frank Bradley. And it's Jeb Allen, 5.88 second elapsed time. That's the quickest elapsed time in the entire second round of racing. Here again we see as Jeb Allen starts his launch from the starting line. He begins to lengthen his lead over Frank Bradley. His speed at the end of the quarter mile, over 245 miles an hour, for a big second round win for 25-year-old Jeb Allen. Jeb serving as his own crew chief and ace mechanic throughout this entire weekend, heads back into the pits to get ready for the semifinals and tells his crew, let's go, we need to get to work. And a lot of work going on here in Shirley Muldowney's pit area as we take a look at the part that broke that caused her to go out of racing. Here's Steve.
Dave, a big crowd around Shirley Muldowney's car. They love her in victory and defeat. What happened?
Something broke in the drivetrain, twisted something off. We haven't been beat like that in a long time.
Attributable to the tire shake?
We're not sure. Possibly. It shook pretty hard, Steve. It really shook hard.